I left my husband for my ex, but his silent revenge shattered our lives forever. I need to tell this story while it's still fresh, while the bruises are still purple and the bank statements still make me nauseous. 6 months ago, I was Amelia Lancaster, luxury travel consultant, Arlington townhouse owner, married to a successful attorney. Now I'm Amelia Nobody, typing this from my childhood twin bed, wondering how someone can destroy you without raising their voice once. But let me start where all great disasters begin, with absolute certainty you're making the right choice. Drake and I met at a wine tasting in DuPont Circle. I was 25, fresh in my career, designing bespoke travel experiences for people with more money than imagination. He was 27, junior associate at Brennan & Associates, the kind of firm that makes other lawyers nervous. He pursued me with the same precision he used for litigation. Reservations at impossible restaurants. Weekend trips planned down to the minute. He remembered everything, my coffee order, my mother's birthday, the exact shade of Hermes orange I preferred. I mistook obsessive attention for passion. We married 3 years later. The wedding cost $75,000, his family's contribution. The prenup I signed was standard protection that I barely skimmed because who reads 47 pages of legal text when you're in love? By year 3 of marriage, year 7 together, I felt like I was suffocating in Excel spreadsheets. Drake had our life mapped out, kids at 35, private schools already researched, retirement projections updated quarterly. He scheduled our intimate moments. I'm not joking, Tuesday and Saturday nights, blocked off in his calendar as personal time with S. Then Damon messaged me on Instagram. We dated through college, the kind of relationship that burns everything around it. He was a filmmaker now, just back from Morocco, and his message was simple. Saw a sunset in Marrakesh that reminded me of that time we got lost in Shenandoah. One message became 50. 50 became video calls. He was everything Drake wasn't, spontaneous, passionate, dangerous. He'd drop everything to fly to Peru for a story. He lived in a loft with exposed brick and no furniture except a mattress and editing equipment. He made me remember who I was before I became Mrs. Lancaster. The affair started emotionally. I'm not proud, but I'm done lying. 3 months of messages before we met for coffee. Another month before I went to his loft. By month 5, I was planning my exit. I thought Drake suspected nothing. He still kissed me goodbye each morning, still transferred money for my shopping trips, still sat through dinner talking about depositions and billable hours. His routine never wavered. That should have been my first warning. The day I left, I waited until he was at a deposition. Packed my jewelry, my bags, the things that mattered. Left a note on the kitchen island. I need to find who I really am. You deserve someone who wants the life you've planned. I'm sorry. I moved into Damon's loft that afternoon. Posted a sunset photo with a butterfly emoji. New chapter. Subtle. For 2 weeks, it was everything I'd fantasized. We stayed in bed until noon. Edited his documentary about street artists. Drank wine on the fire escape. I helped him pitch to production companies, using my connections from the luxury world. We were building something real, something creative, something alive. Then the first domino fell. Update 1, 2 weeks later. Something's wrong. My biggest client, a pharmaceutical heiress who drops $200,000 annually on experiences, just terminated our contract. No explanation. My boss called me in, mentioned questions about my stability and discretion. 3 more clients pulled out by end of week. Damon's having issues too. The production company that was 90% ready to fund his next project suddenly went dark. His freelance cinematography gigs started canceling. Going in a different direction, they all said. My credit card started declining. Not over limit, just frozen. The bank said something about pending legal matters. My lawyer, who I'd only had a preliminary call with, sent an email saying she couldn't represent me due to a conflict. Every decent divorce attorney in the DMV area was somehow conflicted out. Drake hadn't called once. Hadn't texted. The silence was louder than any screaming match. Then the divorce papers arrived. Not handed to me dramatically, just delivered to Damon's building at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday by a process server who looked bored. I opened them expecting the usual demands. What I found was surgical precision. Filed in Virginia, not DC, better laws for him. Claiming abandonment. Documenting erratic behavior and financial irresponsibility. There were screenshots, every purchase I'd made in the last 6 months, positioned as evidence of mania. The townhouse? Apparently in a trust I'd never understood. Our joint accounts? Frozen pending equitable distribution. But the real shock was the emergency hearing scheduled for 48 hours later. My presence strongly advised. Update 2, 1 month later. I'm writing this from a Starbucks because Damon's loft no longer has Wi-Fi. Let me explain how you destroy someone without throwing a single punch. The hearing was a massacre. Drake's attorney, senior partner at his firm, working pro bono as a professional courtesy, presented my case like a PowerPoint of poor decisions. Every text to Damon became evidence. The note I left wasn't a goodbye, it was abandonment of marital duties. My Instagram posts weren't self-expression, they were public demonstration of manic episodes. The judge froze everything. Every single asset. Pending final divorce proceedings. But that was just the legal front. My job disintegration accelerated. My boss received a package. Not lies, truth, strategically deployed. Screenshots of me messaging Damon during client meetings. That time I charged a personal weekend to the company card because I was checking out a property for clients, I wasn't. Emails sent on company time planning my new life. Not enough for prosecution. Just enough for termination with cause. No severance. No reference. My professional network evaporated. My LinkedIn recommendations disappeared overnight. The luxury travel community is small, word spreads fast when someone's branded unreliable. The charity board I sat on received concerning information about my recent instability. They wished me well in my personal journey and accepted my immediate resignation. Damon's situation got worse. Turns out someone sent his previous production company detailed documentation of expense inconsistencies from 3 years ago. Things that would have been forgiven if not presented in a certain light. His ex-girlfriend, wait for it, an attorney at Drake's firm, suddenly remembered he owed her $15,000 and filed suit. His reputation in the documentary world went from rising talent to financial liability. My family got their own packages. The full timeline. Including how I'd been planning my exit for months while accepting their gifts, their support, their anniversary present of a resort vacation for Drake and me. My sister, a therapist who'd given me advice on dealing with a controlling partner, learned I'd been twisting her professional guidance to gaslight Drake about his controlling nature. Mom won't return my calls. Dad sent one text, "We're disappointed in who you've become." Update 3, 3 months later. Damon left for Thailand to clear his head and explore new opportunities. He meant immediately, with no return date, leaving me with his unpaid rent and a loft I couldn't afford. I moved into a studio in Anacostia. $900 per month, bars on the windows, neighbors who mind their business because everyone's running from something. My divorce attorney, the only one left who'd take payments plans, explained my situation simply. You have no grounds, no assets, and no sympathy from the court. The townhouse renovation we did? Drake's trust paid for it. The joint accounts? I was an authorized user, not an owner. The prenup I didn't read? Ironclad. Even my jewelry, the pieces I thought were gifts, had receipts showing they were marital assets subject to return. I tried finding work. Luxury travel was closed to me. Regular travel agencies Googled me and found the drama. I applied for executive assistant positions, event planning, anything that used my skills. But Drake's reach was longer than I'd understood. Not through threats, through truth. A quiet word here, a forwarded article there. I'm now a virtual assistant for a plumbing company, making $18/hour, pretending to be Carol when answering emails because my real name is Poison. But I wasn't broken yet. I still had anger, still had the delusion this was temporary, still believed I could rebuild. Then Moni knocked on my door. Update 4, 6 months after leaving. She stood there in vintage Chanel, holding a manila folder and wearing a wedding band I didn't recognize. Amelia? I'm Moni. Drake's wife. I laughed. Actually laughed. I'm Drake's wife. She smiled, not cruel, just patient. Like she was explaining something to a slow child. No. You're not. She handed me the folder. Inside, a marriage certificate dated 5 years ago. Photos of their wedding, small, elegant, just family. Legal documents showing they'd never divorced, just legally separated for strategic purposes related to a massive lawsuit Drake was protecting assets from. But we got married, I said, my voice cracking. There was a ceremony, a license. The ceremony was real, Moni said. The license was never filed. Drake's uncle, the officiant? He knew. The witnesses? They knew. You were listed as a domestic partner on accounts, never a spouse. Check your tax returns, you filed separately, remember? He said it was for financial reasons. I did remember. I remembered signing everything he put in front of me because I trusted him. Moni continued, almost gently. The prenup you signed? It was a cohabitation agreement. Legally binding, but not for marriage, for long-term partnership. You weren't his wife leaving for another man. You were his girlfriend who walked away from a relationship. No alimony. No claims. No grounds for anything. Why? Was all I managed. Because Drake plays long games, she said. The lawsuit settled last month. We're reconciling now. The townhouse you loved? I've redecorated. That promotion he wanted? Partner track, announced next week. She paused at my door. He wanted you to know none of this was personal. You were just practice. Final update. I'm writing this from my childhood bedroom. Yes, I went crawling back to my parents. They let me in, but we don't talk about why I'm here. 32 years old, sleeping in a twin bed under old participation trophies, working as a virtual assistant under a fake name. I found out through mutual friends that Drake never lost his temper, never said a bad word about me publicly. When asked about our divorce, he just said, Amelia needed to find herself. I hope she does. The perfect victim, the gracious abandoned husband. Moni's Instagram is public. I've seen the townhouse, our kitchen, now with marble I'd dreamed about. Their vacation photos from places I'd planned for us to visit. The announcement of his partnership at the firm. The two of them at charity galas where I used to stand. Damon never came back from Thailand. His Instagram shows him teaching English, pretending the documentary world didn't blacklist him. We don't talk. The mutual friends chose sides without choosing, they just faded away. Can't blame them. Who wants to associate with someone who destroyed their own life so thoroughly? But here's what haunts me at 3 a.m. Drake knew. He knew about Damon from the first message. He let me plan, let me execute, let me hang myself with my own rope. Every move I made, he'd anticipated. Every decision I thought was mine was just another step in his strategy. He didn't destroy me because I hurt him. He destroyed me because he could. Because I was a problem to be solved, a case to be won, a lesson to be taught. I thought I was the protagonist in a story of self-discovery and passion. I thought I was brave, taking risks, choosing love over comfort. I thought Drake's silence was weakness. I was wrong. His silence was strategy. His calm was calculation. He didn't break me in a moment of rage, he dismantled me piece by piece, using my own choices as weapons, my own words as evidence, my own desires as the rope to hang myself with. The worst part? Everything he did was legal. Ethical, even, from a certain perspective. He never lied, never fabricated, never technically did anything wrong. He just positioned the truth in ways that revealed who I really was. And who I really was turned out to be someone who didn't deserve what I thought I had. I wanted passion. I got it, just not the kind I expected. Turns out the opposite of love isn't hate. It's precision. It's patience. It's the kind of cold that burns worse than any fire. Drake once told me he never enters a courtroom without knowing how it ends. I should have listened. Because I wasn't his wife, or even his opponent. I was just discovery. Edit, since some of you are asking, yes, this is real. No, I can't prove the marriage was fake without spending money I don't have on lawyers who won't take my case. Yes, I've thought about revenge. But what's left to destroy? He won everything without breaking a single law or even raising his voice. You can't fight someone who's already 5 moves ahead and has nothing left to lose. Final edit, to those saying I deserve this, maybe. But remember this: when you think your secrets are safe, your choices are private, your consequences are manageable. Sometimes the person sleeping next to you isn't planning to catch you. They're just documenting everything for when you catch yourself. Moni was right about one thing: I was practice. But not for him, for everyone reading this who thinks they can betray someone who knows how to play the long game. The sunset photos weren't worth it. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.